Deb Haaland running in the Boston Marathon brought attention to Indigenous triumphs, as well as tragedies, like the crisis of missing and murdered Indigenous women. I'm Dometi Pongo, and this is MTV News. Need to know. Secretary of the Interior Deb Haaland ran in the 125th Boston Marathon on Indigenous Peoples Day. The route took her and other runners through ancestral homelands of the Mashpee, Wampanoag, Pawtucket, and Massachusetts people. Haaland wrote in the Boston Globe that she's running in part to raise awareness for the crisis of missing and murdered Indigenous women. This is an issue that I didn't know enough about until I started investigating the case of Hannah Harris for True Life Crime. And what we learned is that Indigenous women face murder rates at 10 times the national average. And 70% of the violence carried out against Indigenous women is by non-native offenders. This epidemic of violence got renewed attention through the murder of Gabby Petito. The white influencer began making national headlines when her parents reported her missing on September 11th. The FBI found her body in Wyoming about a week later. The story became an instant sensation. It sparked conversations about inequality in media coverage and law enforcement when it comes to cases involving marginalized groups. Gray Bull, head of the Not Our Native Daughters organization, told The Independent, "As Native people, we already know we come up against racism on a daily basis, and also a sense of not being important. We understand that if we don't have blonde hair or blue eyes, we don't get to make it on the 6 o'clock news or front page of the morning edition." In the past 10 years, over 700 Indigenous people, mostly young girls, have gone missing in Wyoming, the state where Petito's body was found. That fact was not lost on her parents and step-parents who created the Gabby Petito Foundation. The nonprofit aims to help parents locate missing children. And her dad, Joseph Petito, told the press,
This same type of heightened awareness should be continued for everyone.
And while issues affecting Indigenous communities are largely absent from mainstream news coverage, Indigenous triumphs are often glazed over too. And that's another reason Haaland wanted to join the Boston Marathon, which has seen a number of Indigenous winners. Tom Longboat of the First Nations Onondaga won the Boston Marathon in 1907. Ellison Tarzan Brown of the Narragansett won the marathon in 1936 and again in 1939. Patty Dillon of the Mi'kmaq people helped to pave the way for women runners who placed second in the Boston Marathon in 1979, 1980, and 1981. Indigenous Americans have had to fight for visibility in sports as well as media coverage. Too often, they're associated less with impressive athletic wins and more with derogatory mascots that perpetuate harmful stereotypes. Thanks to widespread protests over a number of years, some teams have been renamed, a testament to the power of awareness. This year's Boston Marathon marks 8 years since the tragic bombings in 2013. It's an important reminder of the city's resilience. And with Haaland and other Indigenous people running on Indigenous Peoples Day, no less, the strength and resilience of the Indigenous community is also on full display. I'm Dometi Pongo, and that's what you need to know.